Watch what's approaching, the supreme moment. Reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead, it's for the taking if you want it. If not, the dream dies and you'll be forever haunted. Then confront it.
What's good? Hopefully you guys are having a pretty good morning to the start. I'm actually recording this at 8 a.m. I'm not sure if I'm publishing this in the morning, but if it is during the afternoon, happy afternoon, I suppose. But I did briefly talk about the updates to the link skills and leveling up and whatnot. I did not, however, go through a thorough analysis and breakdown of all the impact and changes occurring with the traditional link sets and what impact it has at level 10, which is the max level. So for this one, I do want to cover individually all the links and what the differences are between level 1 and level 10. So this is a Reddit post by Leviathan or Leviathan, whichever way you pronounce it. Certainly appreciate the post here because it is translated in English, and it's I would imagine it took a lot of time to type all this up because a lot of links are impacted by this. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about each of these individually and see what the differences are. And it can kind of help you determine, which units you want to focus on, which team builds you want to focus on, whatnot. Personally, I think it's probably just best to, run through it and level up the links for whatever, your favorite teams are or whatever teams that are you consider strongest. That's pretty much my recommendation. There's not really a formality of how you want to go about it. And the thing is, this is, going to be an everlasting thing, so it's not like you have to immediately max out the levels for all the links for all the units. This is something that progressively over time you can do. All right, so I know it kind of, went off on a tangent there, but let's get back into the actual discussion and talk about these individually. So we'll start off with high compatibility, level 1 key +1, and then level 10 is key +2, attack and defense increase of 10%. So again, an extra boost certainly does help along with an extra key. Courage is key +1, and then you do get key +2 attack increase of 10%. So of course there are some units that do have that. I think the Tapion unit and some of the Goku units do have that. The students is a defense increase of 20% at level 1. At level 10 it does increase by 10% to 30%. The innocence is a pretty common one, especially amongst the hybrid Saiyan units and stuff like that. It's a 5% increase from level 1 at 10% to max level 10 of attack attack increase of 15%. Crane School is a little bit more of an obscure link, but you're looking at a 5% increase there. So level 10. Honestly, I think this is one of those where you can probably take your time. Going through the World Tournament Hercule daily thing. Typically you want to bring in World Tournament units, and some of them do fall into the criteria of falling into having that link skill, so that might help with that. Demonic Ways is max level, key +2 attack and defense increase of 10%. So again, you do get an extra boost of 10% toward attack and defense once max level. Demonic Power is instead of just a flat out 20% to attack, you also get a 10% increase to defense. So you're seeing a little bit of a pattern here where it's more balanced in terms of like the coverage of the link itself. It's not just either a key or it's not just either attack or defense. It's a combination of multiple things. So it is going to make a pretty drastic difference, I think, in terms of the teams you end up running, especially when the link sets are pretty optimal. Brainiacs is fairly common. It's a 5% increase there, where attack and defense increase of 15%. I think a lot of the Piccolo units do have this link, so that's probably one you'll see quite a bit on those units. Golden Warrior, this is definitely a common one here. So traditionally it was key +1, enemies defense -5%. That's now changing to a key +1, enemies defense -10%, so it's an extra 5% reduction toward enemies defense. Money is a pretty obscure one. Key +1 defense increase of 20% at max level. So, of course, it's not really that common of a link, but it does help with the defense. All right, Evil Autocrats. This is another obscure one. Key +2, enemies defense -20%. So, I mean, if you do decide to run units with that link, you will see, a nice little defense reduction toward the enemy. Flee is another very, very obscure one. First Form Cell. The one that Dokkan awakens into the UR state, this one does have that key +2 HP increase of 50%. and 10% dodge. That's actually pretty interesting. Does HP actually increase by 50%? If that's the case, I mean, I guess that could be somewhat useful compared to what it was, which is like very, very useless. I mean, Ki plus 1 and HP is 30% or less. You might as well just give them a Ki boost of 1 at that point. Telekinesis is somewhat common. Max level, you do have a 10% increase toward enemies' defense decrease. More than meets eye is something you would probably see with the Majin Buu related units. Some of the other ones do fall into that. I think that's the case, but max level, you do get both attack and defense increase to 10%. Hero is defense increase to 25%, so I would imagine, the Gray Saiyan units, Tapion, maybe the LR Goku perhaps, the Int one might have that one, but you do get a 5% increase to defense on that one. Supreme Warrior is a pretty common one, especially with some of the Saiyan units. You will get a 10% increase to attack along with Ki plus 2. So again, max level, you do get that extra Ki boost, and that could certainly help making it easier to get the 12 Ki super attack potentially. Gentleman looks like max level, Ki plus 2, defense increase to 10%. Brutal Beatdown is personally a link I do like a lot. Because it's fairly common with the extreme type units, I guess they kind of scaled it down to where it's only a 5% increase from level 1 to level 10. Messenger from the future, obviously it's related to future saga units mostly, and then Cell units obviously fall in that category as well, but that increases from attack increase of 5% to 10%. World Tournament Reborn, attack increase of 15% to 20% at level 10. Now this is a pretty substantial increase, but it's a pretty obscure link, so I don't know how often you'll be able to run a team with the units with that link. New is a attack and defense increase to 20%. Saiyan Warrior Race is obviously a pretty common one. That's an attack increase of 5% going up to 10%. All in the Family is fairly common as well, especially with the Goku type units or Goku family units. Defense increase of 20% at level 10. Telepathy is Ki plus 2, critical hit chance increased by 5% at level 10. So I do like the fact that they are incorporating stuff like this, where it's almost like, in a way, equipment, right? In the more traditional RPG setting, where you do have like buffs along with status effect increase type stuff. So I do like them incorporating stuff like that. It's certainly a nice thing. I'm not going to go through every single one. Let's just go through the ones that are fairly more common. So Prodigies is definitely one that's fairly common. You're looking at a 5% increase to attack there to a final state of 15% to attack at level 10. Metamorphosis, I guess it's somewhat common depending on what type of units you have, but along with the heal recovery, HP recovery of 5%, you do get attack and defense increase of 10%. Now here's a very, very common one, Super Saiyan. That is going up by 5% to attack increase of 15% at level 10. Experienced Fighters is also fairly common depending on what type of units you run, but that's also a 5% increase to attack. So I guess, individually they might not seem like much, but if you're looking at it from an overall entirety of link sets, even with like a combination of 2 or 3, you're looking at a pretty good increase overall. So I guess Coward is somewhat common. Twin Terrors more or less toward the Android 17, 18 units. Dodge chance of 5% is pretty nice. I think on a setting maybe on Super Battle Road or stuff like that, that 5% dodge chance might help you out, especially considering you also get a Ki boost and attack and defense boost. Coward is somewhat common. You do get a crit chance of 5% along with a Ki plus 2. Attack of the Clones, 5% dodge, Ki plus 2. Saiyan Lineage is also a common one. Ki plus 2, attack and defense increase of 5%. So like even if you have a couple of links, 5% each toward attack and defense, in culmination, that will add up to a pretty decent boost overall. Let's go through some of the other ones. Cold Judgment, 25% to defense. That's a fairly common link that you could certainly run. A lot of different units do have that. Royal Lineage, obviously the Vegeta family type units will have that, so along with Ki plus 2, attack increase of 5%. This will be interesting here, the Guinea Force. Obviously you want to run it mainly on the Guinea Force team with the LR Guinea Force, obviously, or even Dragon Ball Seekers, or what's the other one, Conquest of Terra, I think they fall into, but along with a 25% boost to attack, crit chance of 5%. So I think, didn't we have a category stage on Super Battle Road with the Guinea Force? I can't remember exactly if we did or not. I feel like we did, but if that's the case, that crit chance might actually help. Who knows? Infighter, pretty nice. I mean, 5% increase toward attack, enemy's defense minus 15%. So that could certainly, you're getting a benefit on your team, but also, you're affecting the enemy as well. All right, Z Warriors, that's another pretty common one. 5% increase to 20% attack overall. And then Kamehameha, obviously, this is a pretty good one. Went from 5% to attack increase of 10% based on activating a super attack. Namekians, if you do decide to run, the Namek Saga and Namekian category setup, or even just a traditional Namekian team, heal plus 7%, attack and defense increase of 7% certainly could help. And the thing about the Namekian category units are they do have a lot of healing functions, so that 7% could certainly help out in addition to that. Now, here is everybody's favorite one. Big bad bosses. Before we do that, let's cover the Berserker. This is fairly a difficult one to pull off because of the HP restriction has to be under 50%, but attack increase 30%. That is a pretty substantial boost, but again, you do have to have HP below 50% for that to happen. This is a great patch they did here. Now, traditionally, big bad bosses had to be HP under 80% in order to get that attack and defense by 25%. At level 10, you're pretty much looking at no restrictions on HP. You get that flat attack and defense of 25%. And, this is only showing level 1 through 10, and it's similar for everything else, but by going up each level, that restriction will go up. So like even at level 6 or 7, you're probably most likely already at 90 something percent. So it makes it easier to pull off, even if you're not at max level 10. Tough as nails, I guess that's a fairly common one. Defense increase of 20% along with 5% damage reduction. That 5% might potentially help depending on what event or setup you're up against. And let's see, bombardment, I guess is more toward, the strike units. You do get an extra 5%. Maybe eventually they'll Dokkan Awaken or, TUR the strike units to max level 120, and this is more of an impact on those. But at this point, not really a whole lot of information on the future state of what would happen with that. Universe's most malevolent, obviously the Frieza clan or Frieza family units do benefit from this. That extra 5% could definitely make a difference. Shocking speed, obviously you do get that ki boost even at level 1, but the extra defense boost of 5% could potentially help out quite a bit. Family ties is also a pretty common one. I mean, ki plus 2 and then attack increase of 10%. Obviously these extra boosts could potentially help you. Saiyan Pride is obviously a pretty nice one. It's a little bit limited to certain units, but you do get an overall attack increase 20% at level 10. Battlefield Diva, obviously this is more or less related to Peppy Gal's unit. I think that extra 5% at max level 10 might potentially help with Super Battle Road settings on the Peppy Gal's category stage. I mean, it's not that difficult as is, but if you're a new player, it could potentially be a little bit limited. Now, Dismal Future, of course, this is more or less related to Future Saga categories, but it's funny because they do have the 5% crit chance. I think there's fairly a decent amount of units that have built-in crits for this Future Saga category setup. So, I don't know how impactful the extra 5% will be, but you do have other units like the Extreme type, Zamasu and Rose and stuff like that, that could potentially benefit from that as well. All right, let's keep going. So, Resurrection F, I mean, this is limited to certain units, but you do see some sort of buff there. Warrior God's definitely a good one. So, along with that traditional 10% to attack, you get an extra 5% to attack, activating a super attack. Super God Combat is attack increase of 15%, increasing to 20%, max level 10. Let's see. Magician, I guess this is somewhat, I guess on what is the transforming Buu category? It's like the Majin category. I think some of them might have that. Xenoverse units do have that as well. I guess that relates to the Majin revival plan as well, where some of that does tie to that. Connoisseur, this is more or less Beerus, I think, is the one that has it. I'm not sure. I can't remember if Whis does too, but the Beerus units do have this, so some of them do have built-in, heal factors or, heal skill sets within the passive skill or super attack. But, that extra 2% plus the defense increase 7% might help. All right, Godly Power, this is a good one. Attack increase of 15%, but along with that, you get a 5% crit chance. So, again, the Realm of Gods category and stuff like that, even outside of that category, there are a fair amount of units that do have this link, and yeah, it could certainly be helpful with that. Budding Warrior is more or less toward like the Trunks and Goten units on Hybrid Saiyan setups. It's an increase of 5%, so that's fine. Majin, you know, is a pretty decent one as is, but along with attack and defense increasing, you know, going up to 15%, you also get a Ki +2. I think this will actually help the Majin Buu units probably build up their Ki a little bit easier potentially. Alright, Strongest Clan in Space. Obviously, this is another one related to the Frieza family type deal. So along with Ki +2, you're dropping enemies' defense by 10%. Another one of my favorites is Thirst for Conquest. Attack increase of 15%, but that is now attack and defense increase of 15%. So again, you're seeing a lot of activity of not only just getting one type of buff, but a secondary buff is also happening. So imagine now, like units on, you know, the Conquest of Terror and stuff like that, getting an extra defense boost of 15% along with an attack boost. You know, it's certainly very nice. The Hair Clan is mostly related to, you know, obviously the Bojack units and the other units that are part of his clique, so to speak, but 5% crit chance built into that. Galactic Warriors, 20% toward attack and defense along with a Ki +2. Over to Flash, Ki +3, attack increase to 7%. So of course, this is a pretty nice one as well. Incredible Adventure, obviously this is more or less toward the Dragon Ball Saga units. You're looking at, you know, another attack and defense increase over, you know, along with the Ki +2. Cooler's Underling, pretty uncommon. This one as well. This is more or less like, you know, the Thouser and whatever, you know, units that fall into that. Hero of Justice, obviously the Great Saiyaman and stuff like that. You know, those are, you know, the units that fall into that, and related to it, the signature pose also gets that. GT did get a nice little buff here where it's Ki +2, but also attack and defense increase of 10%. And I'm sure we'll cover it here in a second, but the Saiyan Roar link, I'm actually curious what kind of percentage we're looking at with the recent changes. Infinite Regeneration, that's more or less toward the Cell units. Prepare for Battle, obviously this is a very, very common one. So Ki +2, attack and defense increase to 5%. Destroyer of the Universe, this is more or less like the Turles type units, you know, that get that extra defense boost along with attack. Let's keep going. Guidance of the Dragon Balls, again, DB Saga related, crit chance built in, power bestowed by God. This is, you know, fairly common. You do have, like, I think the Super Vegeta units actually have this, and Ultimate Gohan does too, so it went up by 5%. Fusion, of course, is a pretty straightforward one, but along with Ki +2, attack and defense increase of 10%. Ultimate Life Form, that's, you know, related to Cell units again. Fierce Battle, again, this is a very, very common one, so that goes up by 5%, and you're looking at a pretty good boost of attack increase of 20%. Fused Fighters, same deal. You get a Ki boost along with attack and defense, 5%. Let's see, Limit Breaking Form, another 5% increase. The First Awaken, this is already pretty good as is with 25%, but along with that, you now get a 10% toward defense. Shattering the Limit is also pretty, I wouldn't say pretty, it's also very, very common. So Ki +2, attack and defense increase of 5%. So it's, you know, not quite to the level of Fierce Battle, but at least you do get some sort of attack and defense increase based on just having it instead of just Ki +2. So that's nice. Nightmare, Fear, and Faith, obviously these are more or less toward extreme type units. I do run teams a lot with these types of links, so of course you're getting a buff there. Let's see, Super Strike. This is another one that goes in line with Bombardment. That goes up another 5%. So, you know, you were getting a pretty big boost as is in the combination of two links. So, you know, whenever they do get that TUR state of max level 120, you could potentially see a pretty good output from those units once they finally get it. Okay, so Saiyan War is attack increase of 25% still, but you do get a defense increase of 10%. And here's a big one right here, right? They changed the legendary power from a flat increase to attack and converted that over to 10% to attack based on activating a super. But along with that, at max level 10, you're getting a 15% increase to attack on super attack upon activating a super attack. So that's, you know, very, very nice in itself. Warriors of the Universe 6, Shadow Dragons, those are obviously unique to certain category team setups. Penguin Village Adventure obviously is very unique and tailored to a certain setup as well. Otherworld Warriors, that's pretty nice. I don't really want to cover every single one here, but let's see. I guess Golden Z Fighter, that's also pretty decent. Not as common, but definitely not too bad. Supreme Power is 10%, so 5% increase. Wall Standing Tall, of course, like the Boo units and some of the other units do have it, so that's going up by 5% to 20%. So, overall, there's a lot of good activity here in terms of like what you could potentially grind for. And again, it's not something that you need to do immediately. This is something you can take your time and run through, just through your typical grinding and whatever. And if anything, this gives you another incentive to continue grinding. That's pretty much what this is for. It's not like you have to complete it immediately. Now, if you want to be like the first one to finish, obviously that's a different story. But I think this is meant to be over the course of time. You want to level it up. That's pretty much it. So that pretty much wraps up the summary and detailed breakdown of the link skills and difference between level 1 and level 10. So hopefully you found it helpful. As always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys later.